These are extraordinary times, and they're dangerous times. But here's the good news. In 2 months, we have the chance, not the certainty, but the chance, to restore some semblance of sanity to our politics. What's going to fix our democracy is you.
Joining us now is Jeremy Bird, former National Field Director for President Obama's 2012 campaign and partner at 270 Strategies. Jonathan Alter's also here. He's a columnist for the Daily Beast and an MSNBC political analyst. Jonathan wrote The Center Holds, Obama and His Enemies. And Ben Rhodes is back with us. Thanks, all three of you, for being with us. Jonathan, let me start with you. What's the effect of the president's speech today and others that he'll be making? This is his sort of opening salvo for the midterm elections. But who will come out and vote, perhaps, as a result of hearing President Obama?
Well, one of the most interesting things he said in a fascinating speech that I recommend people watch in its entirety was he used a statistic from the 2014 midterms that only 1 in 5 young voters turned out. So if he can't bring that up and others bring that number up, Democrats are not going to win the House of Representatives. People think this is in the bag. There's certain complacent Democrats who really think this is in hand now. It's not. The demographics of these midterm elections are stacked against Democrats. They have to change that calculus. He's going to be in Orange County tomorrow making a speech. I hope he's out there all fall. I hope Michelle Obama, who's been reluctant to campaign, gets out there on the trail, because it's on. As he said, this is the most important election of our lifetime.
Jeremy, President Obama also spoke about democratic ideas. So, you know, we're trying to make sense of who he's talking to. He was speaking about democratic ideas, talking on the things that Democrats are and should be running on. Let's listen to that.
Democrats aren't just running on good old ideas like a higher minimum wage. They're running on good new ideas like Medicare for all, giving workers seats on corporate boards, reversing the most egregious corporate tax cuts to make sure college students graduate debt-free. And Democrats talk about reforming our immigration system. So, yes, it is orderly and it is fair and it is legal, but it continues to welcome strivers and dreamers from all around the world.
Jeremy, what do you think?
Well, I think his message was right on, and I think he was talking about what we need to see over the next 60 days, and what I think we've seen from a lot of candidates is we have to run on something. We have to run on a vision of progress. We have to run on a vision of unity and bringing the country together. And he talked a lot about the candidates out there, up and down the ticket, not just Senate, not just House, but all the way up and down the ticket. They're more diverse. We've got a ton of women running, just dynamic, interesting candidates. And I think what he was talking about is how important it is to run for something, to run on something, and how important it is for those folks to get out and vote for those candidates.
Ben, one of the things that frustrates me is on a daily basis, the president, the current president, President Trump, speaks a lot about things that he's done to the economy. And I always have to show charts that go back to 2008 and 2009 and show the trajectory. The president decided to get in, or President Obama decided to get on the action today, talking about Donald Trump's claims about the amazing economy. Let's listen.
When you hear how great the economy is doing right now, let's just remember when this recovery started. I'm glad it's continued. But when you hear about this economic miracle that's been going on, when the job numbers come out, monthly job numbers, and suddenly Republicans are saying it's a miracle, I had to kind of remind them, actually, those job numbers are the same as they were in 2015 and 2016.
He's talking about the monthly job creation numbers, but one wonders whether truth matters anymore. Barack Obama came out there and spoke the truth about a lot of things. Donald Trump doesn't, and yet somewhere between 20 and 40% of people tend to believe him on an ongoing basis.
Well, the amazing thing in looking at that is when Barack Obama took office, the economy was entering potentially a Great Depression. And not only did he lift it out of that potential Great Depression, he set in course the recovery that continued through the last several years of the Obama administration into the Trump administration. I think what we see, though, is because of an ecosystem that the right wing has built of politics and media, the opinion of how the economy was doing among their voters shifted dramatically. So people who before the 2016 election thought, Republicans who thought the economy was terrible, suddenly thought it was great when Donald Trump was president, when in fact it was a steady state of an Obama recovery that continued under Trump. I think the most important thing here, though, that Jonathan and Jeremy both touched upon, is the Obama coalition turned out for Barack Obama in 2008 and in 2012. They did not turn out in the midterm elections in 2010 and 2014, or, frankly, in 2016 in the presidential election. Now there's a chance for that coalition of young people, African Americans, Latinos, others, to come out and vote, because we can see with our own eyes before us every day that the Republican Party is enabling this radical behavior, this hostility to workers, this hostility to democratic norms that we see from Donald Trump every day. If that Obama coalition can turn out in the midterm elections, we will have finally some accountability and a check on this out-of-control presidency.
Jonathan, for people who like Barack Obama, they can't get enough of this stuff. Is there some chance, though, that Barack Obama becomes the foil that Donald Trump loves, that Barack Obama becomes the thing that Donald Trump continues to talk about?
Well, I think that there's some worry about that in the Obama camp. But remember, Obama is 25 points more popular than Donald Trump. That's a pretty good margin. He can go head-to-head with him, and Trump can insult him and say that he fell asleep in his speech, whatever he wants to say. Most Americans are siding with Obama. Most Americans, including large numbers of Republicans on Twitter today, were nostalgic for President Obama. Because as FDR said, the presidency is preeminently a place of moral leadership. Now the ex-presidency is that place for moral leadership. And the contrast between a president of impeccable character and proven good judgment, a former president of impeccable character and proven good judgment, and a current president who is of the lowest character of anybody who's ever held the office, is very striking and something that Democrats can capitalize on.
Ben, how long has Obama been waiting to make this speech?
A long time. I mean, I see him all the time still. And look, you know, part of it was deference to the norm of a former president not criticizing his successor. Part of it was he wanted to let other Democrats express their voices and step forward and fill some of the leadership void. But the fact is, it's all hands on deck now between now and the midterm election. This election is fundamentally important to see if we can check this president. And frankly, it will help determine the outcome of the presidential election in 2020. So you're going to see President Obama out there making this very same case on the stump for candidates across the country, mainly to try to turn out his supporters. And he welcomes that contrast, frankly, with what not only Donald Trump but the Republican Party has done, because I think people can assess two brands of leadership here. And frankly, I think people in this country are going to want to see a future politics that looks more like how Barack Obama practiced politics as president than how Donald Trump is.
You have acquitted yourself formidably, Ben. I wonder whether you can make it back to that surprise party that they threw from you. It's 10:38. If it's worth its salt, it's probably still going on. Ben Rhodes is the author of The World as It Is, a memoir of the Obama White House. Jonathan Alter is a columnist for The Daily Beast and the author of The Center Holds, Obama and His Enemies. And Jeremy Byrd is a former national field director for President Obama's 2012 campaign.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.